Prince was arguably the greatest recording artist of all time. His style of music couldn't be pinned down. It wasn't just R&B, funk, pop, rock, or even jazz. But yet it was all of those things at one time or another, depending on what song you were talking about. He used different genres of music as a smorgasbord that he borrowed from as he needed to. Playing multiple instruments while also producing his own music, Prince was one of a kind. The man was so prolific and so diverse that he started other bands just to experiment with other styles while also having an outlet for his fertile musical mind. Prince Rogers Nelson was born June 7, 1958 in Minneapolis, Minnesota to John and Maddie Nelson. He was named after one of his father's stage names, Prince Rogers. His father fronted his own band, the Prince Rogers Trio. His mother, who was a jazz singer, was also a member of the trio. As a child, Prince didn't like his name and instead preferred to be called Skipper. Teachers didn't mind calling him Skipper, as they didn't think anybody should be named Prince. They didn't believe it was a proper name. Prince had a vivid imagination as a child, and he used it often. Inspired by one of his favorite television shows, Superman, he would create fantasies in his mind where he could dress up and have adventures that always ended up with him getting the girl. He also created homes in his mind that were far away from everyone and were in remote locations, like in the mountains or in an underwater cave, or even on a cloud. Furthermore, he dreamed of having superpowers that were secret to everybody else, but allowed him to get into or leave places whenever he wanted. Prince was epileptic as a child and had his first seizure when he was 3. He would have them from time to time. One day, he approached his mother and told her that he wouldn't have any more seizures. When she questioned him as to why he said that, he said that an angel had told him that he wouldn't be sick anymore. He never had another seizure after that. When Prince was young, his parents got divorced. Despite that, sometimes his mother would begin missing his father and a pattern developed. First, after Prince and his younger sister Tika were asleep, his mother would play what Prince later called breakup music. Then she'd begin drinking and call his father on the phone. She'd then beg him to come back. When her pleas alone didn't work, she'd wake up Prince and Tika and have them both ask their father to come back home. Prince's father never did come back. Looking back, Prince speculated that these situations are why he always wrote great love songs, as well as why he was able to write such great breakup songs, like Nothing Compares to You. He also said he never really got to know his father until he moved out of the house. Finally, after being alone with his mother without his father around, Prince said that he came to understand why his father left his mother in the first place. Prince's mother would spend money that should have went for bills and clothes on kicking it and hanging out with her friends. She would also borrow money from Prince that he'd earned from babysitting. After several failures to repay money that she had promised to give him back, if he had the gall to ask her about that money, she became angry at him for even bringing it up. As often as he could, Prince went to the neighborhood record store to buy music. He then listened to the song and write the lyrics down. He felt that doing that allowed him to break a song down and see what it was made of. Since he didn't know how to read music, and he never did learn how to do that, he instead began learning the chords that went with the lyrics. This allowed him to play and sing along with any record that he owned. After he graduated high school when he was 17, he began writing 3 to 4 songs a day. Preparing to embark on his musical career, there were 2 things that Prince knew about himself. First, he never considered himself to be a singer. Instead, he played instruments, and he only sang as a necessity. He considered his voice as just another of the instruments at his disposal. Next, when Prince's voice changed as he got older, he couldn't get the power he wanted to sing. As a result, he began to sing in falsetto, or in a higher voice. In his lower voice, it hurt him when he put too much effort into singing. However, in falsetto, he could hit the higher notes while not feeling any pain whatsoever. After signing with Warner Brothers, Prince began working on his debut album, which was released in April of 1978. Prince arranged, composed, produced, and of course performed all the songs on the album. He also played all the instruments, including acoustic guitar, synth bass, drums, electric and bass guitar, percussion, and piano. He wound up spending about twice as much money as he was advanced to make the album. Soft and Wet, the album's lead single, hit number 12 on the R&B charts. His second album, Prince, went platinum and contained his first number one hit, I Wanna Be Your Lover. His next album, Dirty Mind, was recorded in the basement of Prince's home on Lake Minnetonka. And some of y'all didn't think Lake Minnetonka was a real place. It was released in October of 1980. On this album, Prince began to incorporate more rock-style beats than his other albums. Additionally, he had written more sexually suggestive material. When he played the album for his father, his dad asked him, why was he swearing on the album? Prince's answer was simple, because I swear. Later, Prince stated that his goal was to excite and to provoke listeners on every level. The album spawned the single Uptown, which went number 5. His next album, Controversy, released in 1981, went platinum and contained the hits Controversy and Let's Work. This is also the first album that associated Prince with the color that would become his trademark, purple. Meanwhile, Prince had a clause in his contract that let him find as well as produce other artists for Warner Brothers. As a result, in 1981, Prince formed the band The Time, which was led by Morris Day. The band also included future super producers Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. The group was a side project for Prince, allowing him to create material that was different from what he was doing on his own albums. In usual Prince fashion, he not only wrote the group's songs, he also did a lot of the backing vocals and played most of the instruments as well. He did so under the assumed name Jamie Starr or the Starr Company. For the concept of his next album, as well as the title cut, Prince was inspired by a television show he saw in 1982. The show was discussing what life would be like in the future, specifically in the year 1999. And was speculating on what would be happening on the planet at that time. As Prince watched the show, the people that were watching it with him were dreading 1999. For his part, Prince never was afraid of what the future held for him. However, he felt that the earth was headed in a bad direction, and his idea was to write something that would give people hope. The result was the album 1999. The album went quadruple platinum, and the singles 1999, Little Red Corvette, and Delirious were all top 20 hits. We're going to take time out from our story to ask you to like, subscribe, share, comment, hit that notification bell, and repeat when it comes to our videos. Now, back to our story. Prince's next project will be a dual one and will be the biggest selling album of his career. As early as 1982, Prince had wanted to star in a movie. As a result, since that time, Purple Rain had been in development. Concurrently, Prince worked on the soundtrack album for the movie. The resulting album, Purple Rain, released in 1984, was the biggest selling album of his career, as well as one of the biggest sellers in music history, period. The album not only went number 1, it also went a staggering 13 times platinum. The songs Let's Go Crazy and When Doves Cry both went number 1. As for the movie, it was a smash as well. With a budget of about $7 million, the movie made over $70 million. It also allowed Prince to have the rare distinction of having both the number 1 album in the country and the number 1 movie in the country at the same time. Almost anything he released after the monster smash that was Purple Rain would be a disappointment. Accordingly, Around the World in a Day, released in 1985, received mixed reviews from both fans and critics. However, for most artists, they wouldn't be disappointed at all with an album that went number 1 and also went platinum. Additionally, Raspberry Beret and Pop Life both made it into the top 10. Next, Prince would revisit something that worked like gangbusters for him just 2 years earlier, releasing a soundtrack in conjunction with starring in a movie. The album, Parade, was released as the soundtrack to the movie Under the Cherry Moon. The album went top 10 while also going platinum. It also spawned the #1 song Kiss, with Mountains and Another Lover Hole in Your Head also charting in the top 20. The movie, however, was another matter, as it was a bomb. With a budget of $12 million, the movie only made $10 million. His next album, Sign of the Times, continued his run of platinum albums in 1987, with the title cut topping the charts. 3 additional singles made the top 20. You Got the Look, If I Was Your Girlfriend, and I Could Never Take the Place of Your Man. Over the next several years, he would release the #1 singles Bat Dance and Thieves in the Temple. The singles Alphabet Street, I Wish You Heaven, Party Man, and Scandalous all went top 20. In 1991, Prince changed things up by bringing in a new band, the New Power Generation. Their first album together, Diamond and Pearls, was released in 1991. The album was multi-platinum, and the title song went #1 as well, as did Cream. Additionally, Get Off, Insatiable, and Money Don't Matter Tonight all made it into the top 20. In 1992, Prince re-upped with Warner Brothers for a reported $100 million in exchange for him releasing 6 more albums with the label. However, by the next year, Prince was fighting with Warner Brothers regarding the way they were handling his music. The label wanted to slowly release his songs so as not to saturate the market. However, Prince wanted to release music as quickly as possible. At that point, 2 things happened. First, Prince began appearing in public with the word slave written on his face. Next, he began using a symbol as his name. This forced the media at large to begin referring to him as the artist formerly known as Prince, or as simply the artist. This period of time would mark a downturn in the popularity of Prince's music. For the rest of the 1990s, his only songs to hit the top 20 were Pink Cashmere, The Most Beautiful Girl in the World, Let It Go, and I Hate You. Meanwhile, in order to complete the terms of his contract as quickly as possible, Prince began releasing albums at a rapid pace. He was able to do this by putting out previously unreleased material that he already had in his music vault anyway. He also released the Black Album, which was initially supposed to be released in 1987. However, days before it was to be released, Prince asked Warner Brothers to withdraw the album. His reasoning was that the album was evil. His final album for Warner Brothers, Chaos and Disorder, was released in 1996. After his release from Warner Brothers, Prince celebrated, in a way, by naming his next album Emancipation, which was also released in 1996. Following this release, while Prince remained prolific, releasing 8 albums from 1998 to 2003, he was no longer producing hits like he had in the past. Only his 1999 single The Greatest Romance Ever Sold managed to chart. For a time, while he was in between labels, Prince began releasing music online through a subscription service. In 2004, he experienced a resurgence with the album Musicology. The album went #3, while also going double platinum. Prince's final album to go #1 happened in 2006 when he released 3121. Prince released 7 more studio albums before he would pass away. Included in that number were 2 albums that he released on Warner Brothers after reuniting with the label. Part of his new deal with Warner Brothers was them releasing Prince's old masters to him. Prince Rogers Nelson passed away on April 21, 2016 at his Paisley Park home of an accidental overdose. He was only 57 years old. With his passing, the world lost one of the greatest artists to ever perform. His combination of showmanship, ability to play multiple instruments, as well as his ability to create great songs that defied traditional genre labels was a combination that we may never see again. Here's one last testimony to how his fans feel about Prince. In the immediate aftermath of his death, as happens with almost every major artist, there was a spike in the sales of his music. However, Prince was the first and remains the only artist to ever have 5 albums in the Billboard Top 10 at the same time. That says it all. Happy birthday, Prince. What's your favorite song by Prince? Let us know in the comments. Thank you all for checking out our video. We appreciate you spending time with us. We have other videos that need love too, so please take some time to check those out as well. Thanks again and see you soon.